2 games into the regular season, feeling good. Back for another episode of Swamp Talk.
Personally.
Feeling great, yeah.
I don't know about you.
I mean, sure, it would have been nice to start the season 2-0.
This is true.
But we got 2 games of hockey in Florida Everblades hockey. Feels
Regular
good.
season is back, baby.
And this week, it gets even better. You know why, Will?
Why is that?
Because we're back home this week.
Boom!
Home opener, 2nd straight banner raising, 3rd banner raising all time, tied for the most in the ECHL history, and hockey at Hertz Arena.
Hey.
Feels great. But we do have one more game to get to before that. Orlando tomorrow night as of the time we're recording this episode. But before we can go into the future, we got to look to the past, Will.
Let's do it.
You start off the season.
Time machine.
An impressive just Back to the Future. Impressive come
Great
from
Scott.
Impressive
Tell
come.
me you've seen Back to the Future. I'm
yes,
so sorry.
yes, I have.
Okay,
yes,
good.
I have. I'm not the greatest movie watcher, but
Back to the Future.
there's some movies that everyone has to see, and that's
Yeah.
one of them. We start off the season Thursday night, opening night for the entire ECHL, not just the Everblades.
I know.
We started things off with a come-from-behind shootout victory against the rival Orlando Solar Bears. Orlando looked good, but the Blades, they were able to find a way to get back into it. And I think a big part of it, we'll talk about this more in a moment once we've talked about the Jacksonville game. A big part of it was that once the Blades went down 3-1 in that game in the second, they were able to very quickly find a response goal.
Yeah, and I think the speed was a lot better. If you look compared the first and the second period against the third period, the Everblades just played a much faster game. And although Florida took the lead in that game, Sendin scored the very first goal of the ECHL season.
Yep.
And then Orlando came back.
First of his ECHL career, too.
It's true, yeah. A great time to get it.
Yeah.
And then Orlando came back from that, and then the Everblades had to fight back from that deficit. So this was kind of turning into a speed game where Orlando was just controlling the puck, I think, a lot better, especially in the defensive zone. They were delaying a lot. But then Florida figured out how to get the puck back, how to get it into the attacking zone. And really, it was shot capitalization. They were making the most of a lot of really good opportunities. And it was a really tenacious win. There was a no-quit attitude. Came back, fought through overtime, had 2 penalty kills that they had to break down in overtime.
Pretty much.
And then won the shootout, a 7-round shootout. So just an unbelievable dogfight of a season opener.
Yeah, Blades never won any shootout games last year. 0 for 5. That was the worst mark in the league last year. And then in game 1 this season, they get the shootout victory. I can't imagine they're really looking back at last season saying, oh, man, wish that could have changed.
Wish we could have gotten the
Wish that
shootouts.
was a different season. Yeah, no. But I think it is nice to kind of get that. You're not going to be looking at it in the standing. It's like, oh, boy, we're going into another shootout, maybe like last year.
Well, especially because once you get to playoffs, shootouts eliminated. So,
So 2 important points, especially given that they came from behind to get them.
Definitely.
Saturday night couldn't repeat the same story. This time, Jacksonville grabbing a 3-1 win over the Everblades in what was the Iceman's home opener in front of a crowd of almost 12,000 strong.
Yeah.
Like, huge building, great atmosphere. There were some Blades fans in attendance. We saw them.
we heard them.
We heard them. We saw them. It was great to have that fan support. Not every team gets fans on the road. But unfortunately,
Travel
though,
well.
the Blades, it wasn't the Blades fans leaving the building happy that night. Blades gave up 2 power play goals. Brendan Harris had 2 goals for Jacksonville in the game. Logan Lambdin, who will be our guest later on this episode. Looking forward to that. Had a great going to have a great conversation with him, I'm sure. Lost my train of thought for a second, but we're back. Either way, though,
We're dialed.
We're dialed, very dialed. Early season form right now. But the Blades, they couldn't come back in that one, and it seemed a big difference in it was talking with some people around the team and all that. Jacksonville, after the first, which was very equal, shots were even 12 apiece, Blades were trailing 1-0, but it was still very much anyone's game at that point.
Yeah.
Jacksonville made their adjustments and executed on them. The Everblades could not, and that hurt them big time.
And the stat that kind of stands out to me, if you look at the shot totals, I believe Jacksonville had somewhere around 40 shots. I think they actually
42.
42 shots on net for Jacksonville.
Compared to 22 for Florida.
And that's just, no matter what, even if you're taking high-quality shots, if you're not challenging the goaltender enough, you're not going to get kind of loose rebounds every now and then. You're not increasing the amount of chances for goals by just not placing shots on net. And Cam Johnson played a phenomenal game. Really kept
2
the
phenomenal games.
Unbelievable. He leads the ECHL in saves right now. But 2 unbelievable games by Cam Johnson. But at the end of the day, if you're seeing 42 shots on net and you're making 3 mistakes, that means you're not making 39 mistakes.
That means you need to have 40 shots on net.
Yeah,
where the other
you need
team's
to be
making 3
matching
mistakes. It needs
the
to be,
shot total.
And unfortunately, like a stat that could show it even more is that, yes, the shots were 42-22 in the game. They were 30-10 from the second period onward, from the start of the second.
Yeah.
And I think a part of it is this is kind of a broader discussion of what does a team need to make a comeback happen. The Blades did it on Thursday night. They did not do it on Saturday. Big differences in those games. We talked about this, getting the shots, getting the opportunities. Special teams were a big factor. Jacksonville was able to capitalize on their power plays, whereas Orlando, they did get a power play goal, but it came before the Blades were attempting the comeback. And I think another thing is sometimes you need something tangible on the scoreboard.
Oh,
I
absolutely.
mean, we talk about it all the time as broadcasters or stuff like that. That was a good shift. You can build momentum off that. Nice power play, whatever. Sometimes with the way a game is going, you need something real, a goal, right? Or a humongous save that prevents the score from getting worse, right?
Absolutely.
And the Blades really couldn't get that on Saturday night. Whereas we talked about it earlier, Bobo Carpenter gave it to Florida in the game against Orlando, scoring a quick goal to make it 3-2 at the time. Gave the Blades that real hope, whereas against Jacksonville it was 2-1, but when it's the Icemen who get that goal on a power play to make it 3-1, and their building's going wild, and the Blades were already struggling a little bit to get stuff going on offense, it makes things much harder.
Yeah, and I think that comes down to home ice advantage, and this is, against Orlando, the Everblades were the ones to control the pace in the third period, score every goal in the third period, and come back in an attempt to win it overtime and get the win in the shootout. Against Jacksonville, the Icemen were in front of their own crowd. They scored late into the game. The energy was all the way behind them. So it is difficult. And you're absolutely right. You need something like a big save or a huge hit or maybe even a fight or especially a goal would get things going, pointed in the right direction. And the Everblades, just because Jacksonville had a lot of wind in its sails, they home opener, season opener, packed house, like you said, there was not a lot that was going to happen that was going to deter that Iceman team. Mm-hmm. And, you got, at the end of the day, you just got to tip your cap to a great crowd, a home atmosphere, and a team that really wanted to play to win.
Yeah, sometimes the answer isn't this team didn't do enough to win. It's that the other team did do enough to win, right? Sometimes a team is good. But talking with that, it goes back to something Cam Johnson said last week. 'Cause even though the Blades beat Orlando, they played well in that game too. I mean, it was a shootout victory. And then Jacksonville, yes, they were better than Florida last Saturday. It goes back to what Cam said, what coaches said, what plenty of people have said. The Blades are going to get every team's best every night. Both the Icemen and the Solar Bears looked really good. And Orlando looked good in their win against South Carolina too on Saturday when they went on the road and beat the Stingrays. So it looks like the Battle of Florida is going to be very intense this year, Will. And it looks like the Blades, they've got to make sure they're ready to go every night because, they are getting everyone's A game this year.
Yeah. I mean, if you think about it, if you're thinking about this from a NFL perspective, a game against the Chiefs is getting circled on your calendar because the Chiefs have been the dominant dynasty for the past couple of years. The Everblades have had that level of success, and every team is going to be throwing everything against the Everblades. And we saw two unbelievable games by the two opposing teams that the Everblades have faced so far.
Especially those other South Division teams, especially those Florida teams that are tired of hearing about the Everblades. They're tired of hearing about how they're Florida's premier ECHL team, a gold standard in the league, yada, yada, all that stuff, right? They're sick of it, and they want to be that team. And they know that if they want to be that team, they have to beat Florida, who is that team right now.
Yeah, I mean, it's like that. It's like the Herb Brooks miracle speech when Herb Brooks says, their time is done, it's over. I think that's what every coach in the South Division is saying every time their team suits up against the Everblades.
Yeah, and I know there's plenty of hockey left, but the points matter, right?
Oh, yeah. Getting
those 2 points in the game against Orlando, huge. Not being able to squeak out a point against Jacksonville could potentially be huge down the road. Who knows?
It's going to be every point matters, and how the team approaches the next two games, because you've got Orlando again on the road, and then you've got Jacksonville at home for the home opener this upcoming Saturday. How the team approaches those two games and how they come out and fight and skate hard for 60 minutes is going to be really important, because it will set the bar. They've already played them twice. They've already played them once each. Now you got to make sure that you can punch back and get back up when you're pushed down.
And speaking of points, though, Will.
Hey, yeah.
Do you know who leads the Florida Everblades in points right now to this point? The season's still very early, but do you know who does?
I think, if I've checked my notes recently, it's today's guest.
Today's guest, Logan Lambdin. Coming up next on Swamp Talk, we talk with the Blades' leading scorer about a whole bunch of things. Take a listen. Well, right now, Will, at this point in the season, only one player on the Florida Everblades has a goal and an assist, multiple points, and we're pleased to be joined by that player, Logan Lambdin, Kelly Cup champion. Thank you for being with us today.
Of course, thanks for having me.
Yeah, so big win to open off the season, come from behind victory, and then unfortunately Jacksonville, not the result the team wanted, falling 3-1 there. What would you say was kind of the difference you saw in those two games, one of which you were able to come back and the other one you weren't?
Both games, I think we kind of struggled, kind of trying to get our feet under us and, get to know each other a little bit. Second night, I don't know if we were all there, and, it obviously showed, we, didn't get the productivity we wanted, didn't get the shots we wanted, and, spent a lot of time in our D zone. And, we worked on a lot of that stuff this week, hoping to clean it all up.
So the team got a couple of points this weekend, or this past weekend. You got a couple of points this past weekend. What's it like to kind of start the season kind of on the right foot, already a goal and assist, like Jake said, and already, be pretty established in the points column just 2 games into the season?
It feels good. Obviously, it feel better to come out with a couple wins, but it feels good to at least be getting on the score sheet early, getting myself feeling good, and hopefully carrying that over throughout the rest of the season and just staying productive throughout the whole season, and hopefully leading the team and keeping the young guys afoot and just keep moving forward.
You're going to be leading this team in scoring for the rest of the year. You've already gotten to the top. You got to maintain it for the rest of the year.
I mean, that's not really my main concern. My biggest thing is I just want to win games and just continue in the same path we have in the last 2 years and just continue winning.
And imagine a big part of what helped you get those 2 points, get off to a good start, is you're playing with Pendenza and Jostling, 2 guys returning obviously with you from last year's squad, 2 guys you're familiar with playing with. So how much does that help a guy like you, who you were here last year, yes, but not for the full season, now starting off for a full year with the Blades, starting off with a couple guys who how they play, what they like to do when they're on the ice, when he's got a puck in the corner, what Josling's going to do with it, stuff like that. How much does that help you just get into a good flow to start the year?
Helps a ton. Obviously, during the off season, we're not playing together, so I mean, you kind of get away from some things that some good habits on the ice, and you kind of everyone gets some summer habits, which always aren't good, but it's it helps knowing like what guys are going to do with the puck, and especially being so familiar with playing with those guys in playoffs, it makes it a lot easier.
Not quite as fun, though, as playoffs last year, right? Winning it all, going all the way. I imagine quite different than what you were anticipating being in a full season in Kalamazoo, right?
Oh, yeah. It was an unreal feeling. First time ever making like a big run in playoffs, and it's luckily I had a bunch of guys that have already done it to learn from, and like McCarron, Winecki, all those guys, Masella, they're all born winners. So it really helped stepping in those guys' shoes and trying to lead the way those guys did last year, and just trying to continue that throughout the year.
And what was that transition like, going from Kalamazoo as a Michigan native to playing in a kind of a non-traditional market like Southwest Florida, but kind of getting right into the thick of it and getting a Kelly Cup? Was that kind of a difficult jump, or what was that like from your perspective?
It was a little different. Every day you leave the rink and it's 80 degrees plus outside, and it's you leave the rink and you're like, oh man, am I on vacation or am I here to play hockey? But it was awesome. It was kind of tough because had my baby 5 days before I got traded, 5 days before I got traded here, and then I went to Quebec, and then on day 10 we started the drive down here to Florida. But that was wild. So there was a big transition there. But it was a lot of fun, and it's memories that we'll never forget. So.
Yeah,
two big milestones, pretty back to back.
Oh yeah,
there.
Yeah, it was a lot going on really quick.
And how's that been? Just ever since you've now you're a dad, you've got a daughter. I mean, like life it's got to be pretty different for you now.
Yeah, it's a lot different. There's a lot of balancing. Balancing the hockey, friends, family, all that, all in one, and it's a big change, but it's been a lot of fun throughout the first couple months of it.
And then also at home with your daughter is your wife, who, as you said, she has a baby.
Oh,
you
yeah,
get traded. You go to Quebec, and then you got to do the big drive down. So talk a little bit about just everything she's done to help you be able to focus on hockey so that you could help this team win, and also going home, you're not worried about anything.
Well, I mean, she does so much. I mean, I don't even know where to start with all that. First of all, I mean, during the COVID year, I wasn't even going to be playing hockey after that. I thought I was going to be hanging him up. and she was the main one that was like, hey, you're not done yet. You're not done yet. I know you're not done yet. And I was, she's the one that kept me playing. And, from there, I mean, just taking care of our baby like throughout the night, just, so I can get sleep, so I'm full energy for practice. I mean, it doesn't always work that way, obviously, but, it's, as best, we work through it as best as we can. And I mean, she's a rock. So she does everything, anything I could ever ask for. So she's awesome.
Also, going back to Michigan, you're a Michigan State alum. Number of your new teammates this year are also Michigan State alums. Not sure if you played with any of them when you were back in your college days, but it's got to be kind of interesting going into the locker room and seeing a couple other former Spartans in there with you now.
Oh yeah, I love it. We APAP was the class below me, and Sasana was 2 classes below me, if I remember right. But yeah, it's awesome having familiar faces around here, that I share memories with back in the day, and it's a lot of fun.
How's the hockey at a big school like that, where college hockey is quite a big deal compared to being down here?
Oh, that was an unreal experience. We got, the student sections, never played in front of a student section until college, and that was one of the main things I was really looking forward to. And it's just just big memories that I'll never forget. But I mean, down here, the pro life, down here in Florida, I mean, we got unreal fans here and unreal following, and it makes it a lot of fun to be down here.
Is there kind of like a go-to memory, like favorite memory you have from your time in Lansing while playing a little Big Ten hockey? Was there kind of one matchup that you kind of look back on and think about?
I don't really know about matchups, but Michigan, the Michigan State rivalry.
That's got to be pretty intense.
Those were always a blast. Always huge energy going into all those games. But I mean, it was more so just like the overall experience. Having the football game days, all that, all like the memories that you created with the guys, and I mean, on ice, it just, once you're out there, I feel like it just turns into hockey. And you got the fans in the stands. Student section's totally different. You got the band playing in the background, which is I remember that, a lot of that from games. But I wouldn't say there's really a huge matchup that I remember other than the Michigan State.
Were you there when, because they played outside of the Big House one year, Michigan and Michigan State? That might have been the year they had the Winter Classic there.
Yeah, that was a little bit before me, but I got to play the last year at Joe Louis Arena, and then 3 years at Little Caesars Arena, and those were awesome experiences before they switched the GLI over to. I think now it's at Grand Rapids where the Griffins play.
Oh, okay. So that was one of the holiday invitational tournaments.
Yep.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah,
awesome.
It was a lot of fun. That's got to be one of the biggest memories too. I mean, unfortunately, we were never successful winning the tournament, but I mean, it was still a memory that you never forget. It's a cool experience, and it'll be cool to go back one day down the road and get to experience it from a fan perspective one day and watch the teams play.
People say Caesars is an awesome barn. Like that place is like brand spanking
brand new, pristine. It's incredible.
Yeah.
So
hard to argue with.
Yeah, literally. It was awesome.
Yeah, Syracuse guy here knows all. He loves talking about college hockey and all that kind of stuff. That's where you got to start.
I'm dedicated.
Yeah. Also, Michigan, you're a realtor up in Michigan. That's kind of your off-season gig. How does that work when you're down here, though? Because obviously you can't fly up to Michigan, sell some real estate, and then come back down. You'd miss a few practices doing that, I think.
Oh,
so
yeah,
how do you do it down here?
That'd be a battle. But, it's really hard, the real estate to have, be living in a different state and moving back and forth because you can't establish a good clientele.
Yeah.
So, I mean, with my real estate license, it's kind of tough. I just put it on hold, actually.
Okay.
So I'm not selling right now. And basically the way it would work.
Yeah, sorry to disappoint the Everblades fans who are thinking of DMing Logan Lambdin for a new house.
Well, if they need to in Florida, maybe I'll get my real estate license down here in Florida if need
exactly.
be. So. But it was really cool. Just got to experience a different thing throughout the COVID year, and from there when I was in Kalamazoo, my wife was still selling. We were kind of working as a team together, both selling real estate, and it was really cool. But I mean, just moving out of state, back and forth, moving different areas. It was really hard to get that clientele and stick with it. So I mean, if anything ever came up, I was always calling my dad, which also has his real estate license.
Okay, family business then. Huh?
Yeah, basically. And then so I would send out some clients to him if I wasn't available and my wife wasn't available. So that's basically how we would make it work.
Okay, interesting.
We were talking to Cam Johnson last week, and he's in the process of getting his real estate license down here in Florida. So did he kind of bounce some ideas off of you?
Is he
about
asking
getting
you
that?
for pointers or what?
We've talked a little bit about it, not too much about like pointers and stuff. He just finished his class, so he's just got to take his test now. So hoping the best for him and hoping he can get it done in one try because it's not the easiest test. So,
No, I bet.
I'm hoping he gets it done quick, and if he needs it, I'm willing to help him out. But it's
Yeah, and on the housing side of things, Cam talked about it last week, about how nice it is that the Blades here have the players set up with the housing and the food and all that stuff. Because that's not something that everyone does. It's not universal around the ECHL. So coming down here, I don't know what it was like in Kalamazoo. You don't need to touch on that at all. But what was it like coming down here and seeing what it was like for the players outside of the rink for the first time?
Oh man, the housing when I got down here, I was like, holy smokes, am I in the right place? But I mean, it's awesome. They, the apartments they put us up in here are, top notch. You got the pool, you got the grills, you got, basically everything you need. The dog park, the whole 9 yards. So I mean, it's the booster club. They hook us up with everything we need in the apartments. The staff, we need anything, they try to get it for us. So I mean, it's really, I mean, I can't even know where to begin to start to thank those, like everyone that's involved with that, because they do so much for us, making sure we have everything we need to be successful away from the rink and just be comfortable away from the rink.
And we talked about that a little bit in the summer. That was a big reason that you wanted to come back here, right? Is that outside of the rink, things are going to be just as good as competing for another Kelly Cup here at the rink.
Right, and then honestly, it makes it that much easier, I feel like, to bring in, top-notch players when you're providing, all that other stuff, to make it that much easier for people to travel down here and really enjoy their time, because I mean you want to enjoy yourself away from the rink as well, and it's hard to sometimes separate that time away from the rink from just comfort time at home and all that. But I mean it's here, I mean it's honestly the easiest thing. You get home, you have everything at the apartment, then if you want you go down to the pool,
beach,
grills, beach,
whatever you want to do down here, right?
It's like it's paradise. It's a vacation.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's you just got to know how to manage that, and find that fine line of vacation time / having fun, and then getting the work done.
Kind of bouncing to the upcoming matchups that we got this week, on the road in Orlando again tomorrow, and then the home opener on Saturday against Jacksonville. These are two teams that the Blades have already seen. You've played Orlando at their place already, and now Jacksonville, after being in Jacksonville last week, coming down to our place. So what is kind of the mentality of getting a win against Orlando and then trying to bounce back against Jacksonville? What's going on in the locker room?
We've worked on a lot of things that, we've done video, seen a lot of the stuff that we struggled with in those first two games, because, no teams are going to be perfect. We've only been together for, a couple weeks now, and, we kind of tuned some of those things up that we struggled with. And, I have high expectations for this team, and I really think we'll be able to jump into these two games and hopefully jump off to an early lead and just continue rolling from there.
And that win against Orlando, it was, if you were kind of following it and paying attention to it, it was a real kind of come from behind effort. So for the team to get that kind of win against in-state rival, a team that you're going to be seeing a whole lot this season, and to do it kind of in that fashion, to battle through overtime and to battle through a shootout, and just kind of the ebb and flow of that game, what does that kind of show from a day one perspective of the team being, this is not a team that's going to roll over ever. This is a team that's going to fight to the last whistle. And there might be a few times where you're down in the third period and there's still a very good chance you could come away with a win.
Yeah, I mean, that's, it shows a lot. It shows the type of guys we have in the locker room. And I just think, we expect a lot from all our guys here. And, if guys aren't willing to put in that, effort late in games, even if we're down by 2, down by 3, then I really don't think they belong here. So I mean, we just we have a never quit mentality here in Florida, and I mean I don't think if guys aren't willing to keep that day in day out, then we won't be successful. But if guys are always nonstop, just no matter the circumstances, giving everything they have, and battling till the very end of a game, then I mean we'll find ourselves in a lot of games, even if they're games we catch ourselves down early and late in the game we're down. I don't think there's ever a game that we consider ourselves out of.
And then finally, home opener night, also the night that second straight Kelly Cup banner is going up to the rafters. Your first championship banner is going up to the rafters. So when you're standing on the blue line, anthems are playing, and you're watching that thing get hoisted up, and it's going to be there forever at Hertz Arena, knowing that you were a major part of it, scoring some huge goals along the way in that playoff run. Like, what is that going to mean to you watching that banner raising Saturday night?
I mean, not necessarily just to me, but I mean, it'll just bring back a lot of memories that, you know, I've created with a bunch of the guys here. And, you know, it was like, I wouldn't say, you know, mine, I would say it was ours. So, I mean, you know, we're a whole family now. We're a bunch of brothers. So that's more so what I'll be thinking, you know, my lifelong brothers, you know, standing side by side with all of them, you know, watching that go up in the stands or watching that go up in the rafters will be like one of the coolest things ever. I've never had that, so it'll be, you know, probably bone chilling.
All right. Well, thank you very much for your time. This has been excellent.
Thank you.
Great to see you, and we're looking
Great
forward
to
to
see you
seeing you
too.
on
Thanks
the
so
ice
much.
again.
Thank you.
So that's Logan Lambdin. We continue more of Swamp Talk after this.
All right, thank you so much, Logan Lambdin. An unbelievable conversation. Somebody that's just doing just so much right now. I mean, real estate agent in Michigan, professional hockey player in Florida, and now, as of March of this year, a new dad.
New dad, husband, teammate,
Kelly Cup champion.
The man has an overflowing.
Secret agent.
His plate is overflowing off the table, and he's still managing it somehow.
And somehow, simultaneously, leading the Everblades in points.
Yeah, it's
goal
great.
and an assist.
He will have a chance to expand on that lead, though I think he'd rather get a pair of wins this week.
That's true.
Everblades start off, as of the time we're recording this, tomorrow, Thursday, October 26th, a matchup on the road again against the Orlando Solar Bears, looking to go back into Amway Center and pick up another 2 points. And then back home.
Yep,
Back
home opener.
Home sweet home at Hertz Arena, Saturday, October 28th, against the Jacksonville Icemen. Not a lot of tickets left if you still want to get there in person to watch the Kelly Cup banner be raised. A bunch of other stuff, Suites in the Suites, presented by Waze Pro. You got bounce houses outside. First 1,500 fans through the doors will receive a free LED cup, courtesy of Michelob Ultra. Plenty of goodies at the home opener, as you'd expect, but most importantly for the team for this year. Yes, for guys like Logan Lambdin, as he talked about, watching the banner go up, it's going to bring back a lot of memories, be a great moment for him, his family, and everyone that was a part of that group. But then right after that, it's game time. Trying to get revenge against Jacksonville, trying to flip it from last week where they got the best in their home opener, trying to get the best in the Blades. Last year, Florida played Jacksonville in their home opener. Were able to grab a 2-0 win in that one. Big shutout from Cam Johnson. Would be nice to follow that same script again, but you can't rely on that. What are you expecting to see from the Blades this week?
Well, I'm expecting the pregame ceremony to be unbelievable. It's going to be a great tribute to not just last year's team, but the team before, back-to-back Kelly Cup champions.
Some improvements in the arena, too.
Absolutely. We've got some new video boards coming up, so it's a new look Hertz Arena right here in Estero. So the place is going to be lit up like a Christmas tree with all the LED lights.
Lots of green, for sure.
A lot of green. Hopefully a lot of green. Yeah. But definitely, no, the tickets are going fast, so buy them while you can because it's going to be an unbelievable atmosphere. But, you know, we talk so much about the pregame. We got a hockey game to play.
Yeah.
And I think there is going to be a lot of energy in the building. And I think that energy behind the Everblades, similar to what we saw when the team went on the road to Jacksonville at the end of last week, energy is going to be all the way behind the home side. And they can definitely feed off that.
Yeah, for sure. But, of course, with that, you got to make sure you don't look past the game in Orlando. Those 2 points count the exact same as the ones in the home opener. Orlando probably not going to be very pleased with the way their home opener ended, right? You blow the 2-goal lead. You leave the extra point on the table for Florida. But Orlando responded really well. They went on the road to South Carolina, playing a pretty sturdy Stingrays team on the road for their home opener, and they went in and smacked them 6-3.
Yes.
We saw Orlando's got a really good offense. Right now, Steve Jandrick, 3 goals through 2 games. Aaron Luchuk, 4 assists through 2 games. Their top line, their players are very deadly. It's a team that's scoring a lot of goals right now. It's a team that is doing a lot of things right compared to last year, trying to avoid what they did last year, where they had a bad start and it eventually was too much for them to overcome trying to get back into the playoff race. This year, they're trying to change that, and a big part of it with how much these teams are playing each other to start this season is beating Florida, if you're Orlando.
And this is an Orlando team that I would be really shocked if they had really more than 5 shutouts all season, because this is the goal scoring capabilities on this Solar Bears team is unbelievable. You just mentioned that first line.
Wait, when you say shutouts, you mean they get shut out
Yes,
Okay.
I would be shocked if the Orlando Solar Bears got shut out many times this season.
Yeah.
The lines are so heavy. The forward core is unbelievable. And they are playing with a little bit of a chip on their shoulder because they had their home opener. The Everblades spoiled it. So they want to get the first home win of their season as quickly as they can.
And they had a good crowd for that game, too. They're going to have another good crowd. I mean, they know how it is. Just they've seen also what these 2 championship runs have done for this fan base in Florida, how it's completely re-galvanized it. I mean, season tickets are going crazy right now. The building's going to be rocking for the home opener, just like it was all throughout the playoffs. They know, as a team that's missed the playoffs every year, they haven't made it since 2019, they know that they need to go on a big run to kind of re-energize that market there.
Oh, definitely. And even for grander scale bragging rights.
Yeah.
Because Syracuse and Charlotte don't play each other too much.
Yeah,
but
there's not really a rivalry in the AHL, but Tampa, Florida, that's a pretty big rivalry.
Big rivalry in the NHL, big rivalry by their affiliates in the ECHL.
Yeah, and that's also part of it. And I mean, both of these teams have prospects from those groups. Both of these teams have guys that have legitimate NHL aspirations on their team,
no doubt.
looking to go up to their affiliate one day. I mean, last year the Blades had Zach Ewens, and now he's a full-time Charlotte Checker looking to develop and then make the leap onto the Panthers' back end. But when you're in those rivalry games, sure, the 2 points are the most important thing. Getting out of the building with the 2 points is the most important part of that. But there's also the understanding that you're keeping 2 points away from your biggest rival.
Yeah.
And even though, yes, because Orlando hasn't been in the playoffs, Florida hasn't had playoff matchups against them, and some could argue that Jacksonville is kind of superseding the Solar Bears as the Blades' main rival. The Florida-Orlando rivalry is not going to go away just because they don't play each other in the playoffs a couple times.
Yeah, the proximity is too much.
The proximity, the amount of times they play, just the city rivalry, all that stuff, it all coalesces.
Absolutely.
And so you got to be ready for that, and you got to make sure that you're not looking to the bells and whistles of the home opener, how nice it's going to be to play in front of your own fans who are cheering you on, watching the banner, all that good stuff. You can't look past the game in Orlando Thursday night. You got to make sure that you're fully dialed in for that one, and then Friday, get to looking forward to the home opener.
Yeah, so get the victory tomorrow, October 26th, on the road against Orlando. Then let's start talking about this home opener at home, October 28th. That should be an unbelievable game.
It will be, and we'll be able to talk about it a lot more, Will, in the next episode of Swamp Talk. Coming next week, you can follow along with it on Spotify. Keep up with the Blades social media for new episodes, our YouTube channel, and we'll talk to you then. New guests next week. Not going to spoil it right now, but going to be another fun episode next week for sure, especially talking about that home opener.
No doubt.
All right, thank you for joining us for another episode of Swamp Talk, the official podcast of the Florida Everblades. I'm Jake Maurice, alongside Will Hentshcel. We'll see you after the home opener and talking more Everblades hockey next week.